there's need for teamwork, that your views is not the same with him. And you have to find a way to convince the other man that this is a priority. So it's not like when you say outside, you say, when we go in, we'll make this law, we'll change this. No, people have different reasons. Some are driven by ethnic reasons, some religious reasons, some political reasons, some tribal reasons. So being able to build a consensus is the challenging part, to bring everybody to the same speed. And that is why we took off on a very good note, thanks to the kind of leadership that we have with Tajuddin Abbas, that have been able to build a kind of consensus across all party lines and party interests, that all of us have come to a conclusion to say the nation building is a joint task, that all of us must put hands together. That is the first stage. Now, being able to marshal out those agendas that will help in those nation building is the second stage, and which is what the legislative agenda he pulled up represents. And inside the legislative agendas, we have seen opportunities to be able to address some of those things that we have noticed, internally and externally when we are outside. And I must be honest with you that if Nigeria must work, then there must be structural adjustments. From outside, yes, it looks like it's very easy. But from inside, there's a lot of work that must be done for these things to work. And whether you like it or not, there are people who want things to be done in a particular way. Those people are still around, so it's also difficult. But majority must be brought to that speed where we said we need, the way Nigeria is running now is not running very well. Just like the NSA said, that the last administration left an empty treasury for them and the country was bankrupt. It is true. But not just, finding a way to make Nigeria stable. That should be our only priority. Finding a way to to investigate what happened in the past is also very, very important, so that people do not have this culture of whatever we do, once the government ends, that is a closed chapter. There must be consequences, there must be punishment. Now, for us in the parliament is using this legislative advantage and instrument that we have in helping him to solve these critical national problems. And that is why, if you follow our legislative agenda, you can see that future is projected there, like restructuring, acceding to the requests of different segments of the country as has to do with restructuring Nigeria, reforming Nigeria, whether it's political reform, whether it's economic reform, whether it's reduction in cost of running government. You cannot run a government that if you have a budget of 20 trillion, over 10 trillion is going to go to expenditures that are not capital intensive. That is part of the things that we in the 10th Parliament is trying to discourage. So here, yes, it's very challenging, but I think that is surmountable. Working together with people from different parts of the country who still have the same burning desire that Nigeria is at a moment where you need a hammer to knock in these reforms. It's not about talking about them, that this is time now to give effect to those things that we have talked about, whether it's constituent assembly, whether it's constitutional conferences, whether it's political reform conferences, whether it's economic reform, electoral reform, that now it's time to document them as legislation and push them through, getting the required consensus that we can use the instrument of the parliament to reform Nigeria.